Welcome to Duck Lake State Park. Duck Lake State Park is a 728-acre day-use park located just north of Muskegon, Michigan, in Michigan's west coast.
It's located on Duck Lake, big surprise based on its name, which is an inland lake. There's areas in the lake that they try to keep a little quieter and wake-free, but the whole lake is not wake-free, so you can get different kinds of boats out there. And there is a canoe and kayak launch, so it seems like kind of a nice, quiet lake to be able to go out and paddle around on.
Yeah, it appeared to be. The only thing is, even though Duck Lake State Park borders both Duck Lake and Lake Michigan, there's no boat access to Lake Michigan. There's a bridge and a dam that sort of separate it. So while there is a small channel that allows you to walk through, and you can actually walk over to Lake Michigan and be on the beach over there, you can't take your boats over there. So you're confined to Duck Lake from the boating perspective. But otherwise, it looks like you've got access to both. So depending on which is your style or what you want to do, you can kind of go back and forth between the two of them.
And we understand from the history that this was originally an area, there were some Boy Scout camps in here. Nature Conservancy bought it from them, and then eventually the state bought the land. It became a state park in 1988. Duck Lake State Park is a day-use park. There's no camping here. And there's really kind of two parts of the day use depending on what you want to do.
There's the Lake Michigan side of the park. So if you want to go to the Lake Michigan beach, there's a parking lot and a trail for that. Right now, the boardwalk that normally gets you there is about under 2 feet of water. So if you don't want to get wet going to the beach, even though you're probably going to get wet at the beach, but if you don't want to haul all your stuff through the water, they now have a little sandy trail and you're walking down the side of the road to get over there. And then if you want to go to the Duck Lake beach and the pavilion and the hiking trails, there's a separate parking lot for those activities.
And regardless of which one you park in, there is a concrete sort of a sidewalk trail between the two that you walk along the shoreline of Duck Lake, and you can get from one parking lot to the other. So we did that today, and it was kind of a nice little peaceful trail, actually.
There's technically a third parking lot as well, but that's really just for the boat launch. So you've got the boat launch area where you can then leave your truck and your trailer for that. There's no actual parking there, but just want to note that that is in a separate area, so you don't have to compete with the rest of the cars.
And then you actually walked out to where you can get to Lake Michigan. So you actually kind of walked through the canal to get to the lake?
Well, on a good day, you'd walk through the boardwalk, and it runs right down by the canal and under the bridge, the main road, Scenic Drive, and then drops you right out onto Lake Michigan. But because it's flooded, you have to go up and over Scenic Drive and then down. But it's really nice. So you've got the channel that's coming in, so it's feeding water from Duck Lake into Lake Michigan. So that water is warm. That's where all the kids were playing today, jumping around. Actually, they're all wading up the boardwalk because it's so flooded, and under the channel, it's maybe 3 feet deep. I mean, it's pretty shallow, so that's why it stays warm. And then there's a little sandbar, and then the actual Lake Michigan, which is a little bit chillier. So there weren't quite as many people out in that section, but quite a few people using the beach. This is a popular one for this area. And yeah, it seems to be a really nice place. I think because of that channel and the warmer water, that's why it's so popular.
Well, and I think when you look at the size of both parking lots, they expect quite a few people here, and I can see where it gets pretty popular. It is kind of a unique state park in that you do have Duck Lake, which is a nice little lake, and you have an inland lake, and then essentially you're at the outlet to Lake Michigan, so you have the best of both worlds. If there's one thing I've discovered doing this state parks project, is you never know what random thing you're going to discover or people you're going to run into. And you ended up striking up a conversation with a lady who is part of Jack Butterfield's family, and explain who Jack Butterfield was.
So we really should just let the family tell you who Jack Butterfield was, because they're going to do a much better job, and they live the life in the park system, something that I'm super envious of. So let's hear from them in their own words, who Jack Butterfield was and what he contributed to Michigan's park system. We're standing in the Jack Butterfield Pavilion at the state park, and it just so happens that today Jack Butterfield's relatives are having a picnic. And so we're going to talk to them a little bit to learn a little bit more about who Jack was and how some of these parks came to be. Thanks for talking with us today. Can you introduce yourselves a little bit and tell us more about your family?
I'm Nancy, and I'm his youngest daughter. And this is my sister Sue. She's the middle child. My brother Gary passed away about 1.5 years ago. So We grew up living in state parks. My dad worked for the state parks.
A lot of state parks.
State parks right out of college, and he worked his way all the way up to be state park commissioner. So he,
What an experience.
yeah, so he did the whole gambit from bottom to top of the whole system.
And we used to live, as he was the managers of the parks, you lived in the park. They don't do that anymore.
So you grew up living in the parks?
In the parks.
What was that experience like?
It was fun.
Oh,
We're pretty natural. We're city goers.
I'm sure there's a lot of memories and
Oh, yeah.
things to think
Yeah.
about. Oh my
Yeah.
gosh. So what did your dad do for the parks? I mean, I know in general, but what are some of the specifics
He
that
he started the whole ball rolling on buying this land, creating a state park out of it, saving the area since it was a beautiful lake and a natural area, so that it wouldn't be all built
Not
up.
much beach right now.
No, we're finding that everywhere, right?
The water's so
Some
high.
water. Yeah.
So after he passed away in 2008, my aunt Thelma, his sister,
Yeah.
wanted to get the park renamed, and she called. I had people writing letters
Permission.
and trying to get the ball rolling on that, and we found out that they won't rename something once it's been named. So then she started on the pavilion, and we had to go through the county to do that, meet with the county at one of their board meetings, and talk to them about it, and they were pretty much good with
On
it.
board,
They
okay.
they didn't give us any trouble about that. So then we had a dedication ceremony, and then our family has been coming here ever since for our reunions.
yeah.
Oh, how
Reunions.
fun! I mean, look, there's quite a few of you here, so that's a
there'll be
pretty good
more.
descendant.
There'll
There'll be
be
more.
More, yeah.
And the food is always good.
Yeah.
Can you share maybe one of your experiences in the state park? What's something, growing up, what's a good memory that you have, maybe?
Living in a park.
Yeah.
Hiking.
Hiking.
Well,
Fishing.
you just go out the back door, and
There-
there was little creeks, and you'd catch like, little creatures and playing outside all the time, every
Yeah.
day. I mean, because I was probably 4 or 5 years old, and I would just go out and I would make like I was in lands and stuff, just imagine the whole thing. So it was just really cool. In the winter, there was always since we lived on near Lake Michigan, lots of snow, lots of sledding.
Yeah, all up in the sand dunes.
Oh, good. Now, do you instill that in your kids and the rest of your generations too, that they
Camping.
be outside and go camping?
Yeah.
Our kids are better campers than we are now.
Yeah. I'm not much of a camper anymore.
Now that we're old, hotels are very nice.
But you're still out enjoying them and
Yes.
taking
Oh,
advantage
yes.
Oh,
of
yeah,
what they
we-
have to
yes,
offer.
hiking.
Oh yeah, we
Yeah.
still go to the parks. Yes, have to do that.
What would be your advice that you would give a family, going camping now? Like a favorite place or just something to do? What's a
Take advantage of all the trails and any experiences they can have. I know we went when our kids were little, and they had a sing along at night, and we went. We had the best timers because I don't know, it was just really fun. The kids even liked it.
Oh,
so
I'd love to do that.
Yeah.
I know they do like the s'mores programs and the
Yes.
nature walks, but
Yes.
I haven't seen a sing
oh
along.
yeah, it was really fun.
I really just want to thank the Butterfield family for sharing their story with us today, learning about their dad's history and how he helped shape our state park system, as well as their life living in the state parks. I mean, how cool is that? So as we celebrate the state park centennial, I just want to remind everybody to take a moment to think about all those people who helped make these parks a reality, and think of Jack and others like him when you visit your next state park. Because Duck Lake State Park is a day use area, it's not something that I think you're going to be driving out of your way to come to. But if you live in the greater Muskegon area, even within an hour or so's drive, I think this would be a good place to come. A little less crowded than some of the bigger ones in the area, Muskegon State Park, Hoffmaster, even Grand Haven. And because you have both Duck Lake and Lake Michigan, you've got a little bit of variety here.
Yeah, it's really nice that you have the inland lake and the Lake Michigan, and it'd be a great place to spend a day and just kind of hang out, maybe do some different things, hike the trails, spend some time on the beach. If you have a boat, maybe boat around on Duck Lake at some point, take some breaks and have a picnic. I just think it'd be kind of a cool place to hang out.
Yeah, I agree. And whether a big boat or even just a kayak, there's a little bit of both going on here today. So I think that was nice. So yeah, definitely recommend this as a day use park. I think this is a really nice place.
Yeah, so find a state park, whether it's camping overnight or just coming out for a day. Keep on trekking.
And we'll see you out there.